You know, I've been friends with Ryan for almost 2 decades. We've worked side by side, built our careers as psychotherapists, and I've always considered him one of the smartest, strongest guys I've ever known. Nothing ever seemed to rattle him, not until the night he nearly ran over Ashley with his Porsche 911 on Mulholland Drive. That's when I saw the first tiny crack in the armor he'd worn his whole life. Ryan was the kind of guy who'd clawed his way up from nothing. His parents were ambulance workers in San Bernardino. Nobody handed him a damn thing. He worked relentlessly until he was running his own rehab clinic in LA, catering to the rich and famous. We're talking Hollywood big shots, producers, musicians, actors, guys who spend more on therapy than most people earn in a year. Ryan knew how to handle people, how to read them, fix them. Hell, I learned half of what I know just by watching him. But Ashley was different. That night, she'd been lying right there in the middle of the road, hoping some poor bastard would end her pain for good. She was 27, a twisted nod to the infamous club of tragic stars. Ryan told me later he joked darkly about that when he first picked her up. Even beaten down and desperate, there was something pure and captivating about her. I guess after a lifetime of handling spoiled celebrities and their inflated egos, he found her simplicity refreshing. Ashley's story was straight out of a sad indie film. Parents died young, no family left, struggled to pay rent, fell in with the wrong crowd, drugs got involved. Textbook stuff. Ryan took her into his clinic, paid every penny himself, and treated her personally. We all saw the signs long before he admitted it to himself. There was chemistry brewing in those therapy sessions. After she finished treatment, Ryan asked her out. I thought he was crazy, getting involved with a patient, but love makes even the smartest men stupid. They married within a year and even adopted that golden retriever she always dreamed of having. Everything seemed perfect on the surface. But let me tell you something I've learned from watching 1,000 lives unravel in therapy: perfect never lasts. And Ryan was about to learn that lesson in the most painful way possible. You know, looking back, there were plenty of warning signs. At first, Ryan was blind to them, like most men who genuinely fall in love. I remember one evening at the Bel Air Country Club. We were having drinks after a round of golf, and Ryan casually mentioned Ashley's latest shopping spree. She dropped nearly 15 grand at Rodeo Drive. Ryan laughed it off, calling it retail therapy, but something about the way he said it felt off. Forced, even. Like he was trying to convince himself more than anyone else. Ashley had changed significantly after they married. Gone was the humble, grateful young woman who'd shyly thanked Ryan for rescuing her from rock bottom. Back then, even without makeup or fancy clothes, Ashley had this natural beauty: long, wavy chestnut hair, flawless skin, eyes that could charm anyone, and a smile so genuine it could melt your heart. Now, she had transformed into someone unrecognizable, designer dresses clinging to her slim frame, expensive jewelry sparkling on her wrists and neck, and a new, calculated charm that was unsettling to watch. Now, her closet overflowed with Chanel, Gucci, and Louis Vuitton. She booked reservations at Nobu, Craig's, and Spago nearly every other night, craving not just gourmet food, but also the attention of every man in the room. I watched her flirt shamelessly with everyone, from the young landscaper trimming the hedges at their Brentwood estate to the Uber driver dropping us off after dinner one night. It wasn't subtle, it was uncomfortable, almost brazen. Ryan's clinic was thriving, but he was burning the candle at both ends to sustain Ashley's lavish lifestyle. She convinced him they needed a bigger house, and before long they'd moved into a sprawling, extravagant mansion complete with a pool, a private gym, and even a wine cellar she hardly used. Each time I visited, I saw a growing disconnect between them, a tension Ryan chose to ignore. She's just being friendly, he'd joke, brushing it off with strained laughter. Then came the cancellations. Ryan and I had a standing Friday poker night with some friends from our therapy circle. Suddenly, he started skipping games. When he did show, his mind was somewhere else. One night, after too many bourbons, he admitted Ashley had become distant, spending hours glued to her phone, disappearing for coffee with friends, coming home late with vague, suspicious explanations. I watched helplessly as his confidence faded, replaced by a nagging doubt and worry that dulled his once sharp intellect. I tried dropping hints carefully, of course. But even therapists have blind spots, especially when love clouds their judgment. Ryan wasn't ready to face reality. But reality wasn't waiting for him to catch up. It was about to slap him hard and fast. The day Ryan sensed something was truly wrong began just like any other, nothing dramatic, just another ordinary afternoon. Ryan had invited me over to discuss expanding the rehab clinic. We were settled in his spacious home office, walls lined with psychology books and photos of better times, when Ashley walked in unexpectedly. Her presence seemed off, her usual confidence replaced by subtle unease. "Oh, didn't know you were busy," she mumbled softly, slipping her phone into her pocket in a quick, nervous motion. "You okay, Ash?" Ryan asked casually, but I noticed the subtle crease forming on his forehead. "Yeah, sure. Just had errands," she answered, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. After she left, Ryan's concentration was clearly broken. He excused himself for a quick break, leaving me alone. I watched from the open doorway as he moved toward the hallway, his eyes landing on Ashley's handbag, carelessly left open on the entry table. Something must have caught his attention. A small slip of paper protruded slightly from the zipper pocket. Instinctively, perhaps drawn by curiosity or a nagging gut feeling, Ryan pulled the note free. His expression shifted from mild curiosity to stunned confusion as he silently read it. Then, slowly, he passed it to me. It wasn't explicitly damning, but its intimacy was unmistakable. "Meet at our usual spot, 8 tonight. Can't wait. D." Ryan's face was pale, his breathing shallow. "What do you think this means?" he asked quietly, uncertainty clouding his eyes. I could see his mind racing, doubt creeping into every thought. It wasn't clear-cut proof, yet it held just enough weight to shatter the illusion he desperately maintained. Gently, I placed a hand on his shoulder, offering silent support as he grappled with the truth trying to surface. "I have to know," he finally whispered, his voice tight with restrained emotion. "I can't pretend this away anymore." It was that subtle, ambiguous slip of paper that marked the beginning of the end, forcing Ryan to confront a reality he'd been denying far too long. That evening was filled with heavy silence, broken only by the faint ticking of the antique clock Ryan had inherited from his grandfather. We sat quietly in the dimly lit living room, waiting for Ashley to return from wherever she'd gone, the mysterious note still hauntingly fresh in Ryan's mind. The shadows cast by the floor lamp seemed to dance mockingly around us, amplifying our anxiety. Finally, the front door clicked open, and Ashley stepped inside, unaware of the storm awaiting her. Her smile vanished immediately when she saw Ryan's face, cold, controlled, yet blazing with silent fury. "Hey, everything okay?" Ashley asked cautiously, shifting her gaze nervously between us. "Where were you tonight?" Ryan's voice was calm, unnervingly steady. She hesitated, clearly searching for an explanation. "Just out with friends. I told you earlier, coffee, you know." Ryan stood up, pulling the small slip of paper from his pocket. "Ashley, who's D?" She stared at the note, her face growing visibly pale, eyes wide with shock. "Ryan, it's just Danielle," she stammered, attempting confidence but failing miserably. "My friend Danielle, from yoga class. We sometimes meet up. It's nothing, really." Ryan's eyes narrowed, skepticism dripping from every word. "Danielle? I've never heard you mention her. Why meet at night?" Ashley shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting around the room. "We just catch up sometimes. It's girl talk, Ryan. It's nothing suspicious, I promise." Her voice was soft, almost pleading, yet something about the forced ease of her explanation rang false. Ryan watched her silently for what felt like an eternity before finally speaking. "I want to believe you," he said quietly, his voice cold and distant. "But something tells me you're lying." He turned abruptly, leaving her standing stunned in the living room. I followed him outside, where the cool night air felt like a stark relief from the suffocating tension. "What now?" I asked gently, placing a supportive hand on his shoulder. "Now." Ryan's voice trembled slightly, determination hardening his gaze. "Now we find out exactly what she's been hiding and who this Danielle really is." With those chilling words, it was clear the confrontation had barely scratched the surface. The next few days felt like walking on thin ice, each moment tense and uncertain. Ryan barely slept, consumed by a need to uncover the truth. Despite his distress, he meticulously crafted a plan, his clinical mind shifting into investigative mode. He didn't trust Ashley's explanations, and honestly, neither did I. Ryan decided to start quietly, subtly. He began scrutinizing small details, credit card statements, phone bills, Ashley's social media. Each discovery raised more unsettling questions. Expensive dinners at exclusive spots he'd never visited, unusual transactions at luxury hotels around LA, and calls to an unfamiliar number late at night. One evening, we were at my place, combing through the latest findings over glasses of whiskey. Ryan paused suddenly, his finger tracing a phone number repeatedly appearing on Ashley's bill. "This number, it's local, keeps popping up almost daily," he muttered thoughtfully. "We need to find out who owns it." A quick online search provided a jarring answer. The number belonged to Damian Cross, a well-known music producer with a reputation for excess and scandals, a notorious ladies' man in Hollywood circles. Ryan stared at the screen in disbelief. Damian Cross? He whispered, voice tight with anger and betrayal. Ashley barely mentioned knowing him. I saw pain flicker in his eyes, quickly replaced by steely resolve. Ryan, I said cautiously, maybe it's time to get professional help, hire someone discreet to confirm this. He nodded slowly, absorbing the reality of hiring a private investigator, the thought obviously painful but necessary. You're right, he agreed quietly, determination hardening his face again. I need indisputable proof. Then I'll decide exactly how to handle this. As he made the call to set things in motion, we both felt the gravity of what was unfolding. Ryan was preparing for war, and Damian Cross had just unknowingly stepped into the firing line. Ryan hired one of LA's most discreet private investigators, a seasoned former LAPD detective known simply as Briggs. Briggs was the kind of man who knew the city's darkest secrets, his weathered face evidence of countless nights spent trailing cheaters and liars through shadowy alleyways and expensive hotel lobbies. If anyone could uncover Ashley's secrets, it was him. Days stretched painfully into a week as we waited for answers, the tension nearly suffocating. Ryan grew increasingly agitated, constantly pacing and checking his phone. Each unanswered call felt like another betrayal. Then finally, late one evening, Briggs called. We met him in a dimly lit booth at Musso and Frank Grill, a classic Hollywood haunt where secrets were as plentiful as the cocktails. Without ceremony, Briggs slid an envelope across the table to Ryan, his expression unreadable. Ryan hesitated for a moment before pulling out photographs. The images were explicit, devastating. Ashley, dressed provocatively, laughing flirtatiously with Damian Cross at exclusive rooftop bars, slipping into luxury suites at the Beverly Wilshire, exchanging intimate embraces outside hidden spots in Malibu. Ryan stared at the photos in tortured silence, anger and humiliation boiling beneath the surface. This wasn't casual, he muttered bitterly, gripping the pictures tightly enough to wrinkle them. She lied about everything. There's more, Briggs added cautiously, handing over audio recordings from hidden mics. Ashley's voice was unmistakable, flirtatious, calculating, and disturbingly casual about her betrayal. She talked openly about Ryan's money, joking with Damian about manipulating him to get what she wanted. One phrase echoed coldly between us. He's clueless. He'll never suspect a thing. I watched helplessly as Ryan's face hardened into something I'd never seen before, an expression chillingly close to revenge. What do you want to do now? Briggs asked, breaking the tense silence. Ryan's reply was firm, emotionless, and resolute. Now, it's my turn to strike back. At that moment, the line between justice and revenge blurred irreversibly, and Ryan was prepared to cross it. From that night forward, Ryan was a man transformed. Every ounce of betrayal and humiliation he'd felt turned methodically into a calculated plan for vengeance. He spent days quietly organizing, meticulously setting the stage for a revenge that would not only expose Ashley and Damian, but destroy the illusion they had carefully built around themselves. One evening, Ryan invited me over to his clinic after hours. The corridors were silent, lights dimmed, the polished marble floors reflecting a sinister atmosphere. Sitting in his private office, he revealed his plan, voice icy and precise. Ashley loves money and status, Ryan said coldly, so that's exactly where I'll hit her. I'll give her exactly what she wants, then take it all away. He explained in chilling detail how he'd arranged an exclusive charity gala, an event Ashley wouldn't dare miss. The plan was deceptively simple but brutal. Ryan would publicly announce a major investment opportunity, enticing Damian and Ashley to commit significant amounts of money. Money he knew neither truly had but would desperately scrape together to appear powerful. When their checks clear, he continued, his voice calm yet fierce, the deal will vanish. I'll expose their affair and their financial fraud simultaneously, destroying their reputations overnight. The room grew colder with every word, his determination unsettling but undeniable. Ryan wasn't merely seeking justice. He wanted humiliation on a grand scale. Are you sure you want to do this? I asked cautiously, sensing he was crossing a point of no return. Ryan's eyes met mine, unwavering, the fury beneath them unmistakable. They took my trust, my pride, and my dignity, he replied darkly. Now, it's time they paid the price. With every detail carefully planned, the stage was set for a revenge that would shake Hollywood to its core, and Ryan was ready to unleash his fury. The charity gala arrived swiftly, held at one of Hollywood's most luxurious venues, the Chateau Marmont. Glamorous stars, influential producers, and industry elites filled the room, creating the perfect audience for Ryan's meticulously orchestrated drama. Ashley arrived on Damien's arm, her elegant gown shimmering beneath the chandeliers, her smile radiant yet chillingly deceptive. Unbeknownst to them, Ryan remained concealed in the shadows, silently observing every move, careful not to reveal himself prematurely. Ryan had spared no expense, hiring a famous television personality to host the gala, someone charismatic and entirely unsuspecting, yet perfect for drawing Ashley and Damien into his carefully constructed trap. Midway through the evening, the host captivated the audience by introducing an exclusive investment opportunity, passionately describing a groundbreaking luxury wellness retreat in Malibu, a vision so alluring it was irresistible to Hollywood's wealthy elite. As anticipated, Ashley's eyes immediately lit up, greed and ambition transparently written across her features. Damien leaned in eagerly, whispering excitedly into her ear, their enthusiasm overtaking caution. Completely enthralled by the host's pitch, they quickly committed significant funds, more than either could realistically afford, desperate to secure their stake. Throughout the evening, Ryan stayed hidden, watching from his secluded vantage point as his plan unfolded flawlessly. Once the gala concluded and guests dispersed, Ryan emerged from the shadows, his expression a perfect mask of cold satisfaction. Turning to me with chilling calmness, he whispered, "They've stepped right into my trap. Now, all that's left is to watch them fall." Ashley and Damien had unknowingly embraced their ruin, and soon all of Hollywood would bear witness to their devastating downfall. The morning after the gala arrived with deceptive tranquility. Ashley and Damien, completely unaware of the storm brewing beneath their feet, confidently went about their day. Ryan and I sat together in his office, quietly monitoring the aftermath. By noon, the first cracks began to appear. Ryan had discreetly ensured that their investments would immediately trigger financial red flags, bounced checks, rejected transactions, and a cascade of calls from banks demanding explanations. Their desperation to maintain appearances drove Ashley and Damien deeper into panic and confusion. Word spread quickly through Hollywood's elite circles. Gossip, speculation, and scandalous whispers erupted like wildfire, tarnishing their carefully crafted public images. Ashley's social media, once filled with glamorous snapshots of luxurious dinners and exclusive parties, became eerily silent, the online whispers loud and condemning. That afternoon, Damien was abruptly fired from his current high-profile project, a major record label dropping him instantly, citing concerns over financial integrity. Ashley, humiliated, faced relentless questioning from her so-called friends, who eagerly distanced themselves as the scandal grew. Watching the chaos unfold, Ryan's satisfaction was unmistakable. But beneath the vindictive pleasure was a deeper, raw pain, visible only briefly in his eyes. He had delivered a crushing blow, yet the emotional wounds of betrayal were far from healed. Late that night, Ashley frantically called Ryan, her voice desperate, filled with fear and feigned innocence. "Ryan, I don't understand what's happening. Someone set us up," she pleaded urgently, trying to sound sincere. Ryan remained composed, his voice icy, void of any sympathy. "Ashley, sometimes life simply gives us what we deserve." He hung up calmly, letting the finality of his words linger heavily in the air. Ashley and Damien were rapidly spiraling downward, their reputations crumbling spectacularly. But Ryan knew the final act of his revenge was yet to come, and it would be devastatingly personal. Ryan carefully planned his final strike, understanding that true revenge isn't just about humiliation. It's about delivering the most intimate kind of pain. Ashley, desperate and cornered, had moved temporarily to a secluded hotel, isolating herself from public ridicule. Damien, equally ruined, distanced himself, too preoccupied with his own downfall. Late one afternoon, Ryan quietly visited Ashley's hotel, arriving anonymously and unnoticed. When Ashley opened the door, her face, void of makeup and swollen from tears, revealed how far she'd fallen. Shock crossed her expression immediately upon seeing Ryan standing calmly in her doorway. "Ryan, what are you doing here?" she whispered, her voice shaking with anxiety. "Closure," he replied evenly, stepping confidently into the room. His calm demeanor unnerved her deeply. I just wanted you to know exactly who brought you here. Ashley's facade cracked, fear replacing any trace of defiance. You did this? But why? She stammered, genuine disbelief in her eyes. We can fix this, Ryan. I made mistakes, but mistakes. Ryan's voice hardened, his eyes flashing with barely controlled anger. Ashley, you lied to me. Cheated. Used me. This isn't a mistake. It's your character. He placed a carefully prepared envelope on the table. Ashley hesitated, then opened it slowly, revealing a stack of intimate messages and pictures she had exchanged with Damien, undeniable proof of her betrayal, captured vividly for the world to see. Ashley's eyes widened in horror. What are you going to do with these? She asked, voice trembling. Ryan smiled coldly, turning toward the door. They're already online. Her gasp echoed behind him, a haunting sound of despair that lingered as he walked away, leaving Ashley to face the ruin she'd created. Back in the quiet of his car, Ryan's hands shook slightly, a mixture of triumph and deep sadness battling within him. He delivered his final blow, intensely personal and brutally effective, but even victory felt hollow. The revenge was complete, but Ryan realized that, despite everything, the betrayal still cut deeper than he'd ever imagined. Ryan didn't stick around to watch the aftermath unfold. He didn't have to. Hollywood thrives on scandal, and Ashley's intimate betrayal spread faster than wildfire. Within hours, social media was flooded with evidence of her duplicity, her carefully constructed reputation shredded publicly, mercilessly. Damien didn't escape either. His private indiscretions quickly became headline news. Investors pulled out, clients abandoned him, and the music industry blacklisted him practically overnight. Their carefully constructed world collapsed spectacularly, leaving nothing but ruin. Ryan watched from a distance, clinical and detached, feeling neither sympathy nor regret. Revenge, he'd learned, was not satisfying, it was necessary. Ashley attempted damage control, hiring lawyers, publicists, spinning lies to salvage what little dignity remained. None of it worked. One evening, Damien cornered Ryan outside his clinic, desperate and furious. You destroyed my life. Damien snarled, fist clenched. Ryan stood calmly, unfazed. You destroyed your own life, Damien. I just pulled back the curtain. Damien lunged, swinging wildly. Ryan dodged effortlessly, coolly countering with a swift, precise punch that dropped Damien instantly. He stood over Damien's crumpled form, his voice cold and final. Stay down. Walking away, Ryan felt no triumph, just the bitter clarity that comes from knowing justice, brutal and absolute, had finally been served. Looking back, I realize Ryan's actions weren't exactly what you'd expect from a top psychotherapist. He was a professional, a man known for guiding others toward rational decisions and emotional stability. But beneath that carefully cultivated exterior, he was still human. Primal instincts like justice and survival inevitably pushed him toward revenge. Sometimes, the only real healing comes from confronting pain head-on. In the weeks following the scandal, life settled into an uneasy new routine. Ryan dove back into work, his clinic busier than ever, partly due to the notoriety he had gained. People admired him for standing up against betrayal, for taking decisive action. They respected the brutal honesty of his response, even if it made them uncomfortable. Ashley, meanwhile, vanished from public view completely. Rumors swirled that she'd fled LA, unable to face the humiliation. Damien attempted a comeback but quickly faded into obscurity, unable to escape the stigma attached to his name. One night, as Ryan and I sat quietly sipping whiskey in his office, he finally addressed the topic directly. I know it wasn't exactly ethical, he admitted slowly, his voice low and reflective. But sometimes, the raw truth demands harsh consequences. Maybe I should feel guilty, but I don't. He took another sip, his gaze distant. This whole thing has taught me something. No one is immune to betrayal, not even a therapist. Trust carefully, act decisively. We sat quietly, the weight of his words settling between us. Ryan wasn't looking for redemption or justification, just acceptance that even professionals can lose control when pushed too far. As months passed, Ryan gradually shifted from reflection to action, channeling his experiences into something meaningful. He began hosting seminars on trust and betrayal, openly sharing his story as a cautionary tale. His brutal honesty resonated deeply, drawing even larger crowds. Ryan's clinic became a beacon for those who'd suffered similar betrayals, people looking for genuine understanding and practical guidance. Despite his professional rebound, personally, Ryan remained cautious. Trust was no longer given freely. friendships more carefully measured, and relationships approached with guarded skepticism. His circle became smaller, tighter, more loyal. He knew he'd never fully escape the shadow of betrayal, but he could learn from it. Late one evening after a particularly successful event, Ryan confided in me quietly. "I don't know if I'll ever completely trust again. But maybe that's not the point. Maybe the point is recognizing the strength in surviving betrayal rather than avoiding it altogether." I nodded, understanding his hard-earned wisdom. Ryan's scars were evident, but so was his growth. He wasn't merely coping. He was rebuilding himself into something stronger, more resilient. He accepted the damage done, understanding clearly now that scars, even emotional ones, were proof of battles fought and survived. Life had changed irreversibly, yet Ryan had found purpose in his pain. He was no longer just a therapist. He was a survivor, teaching others not only how to heal, but also how to fight back and reclaim their lives. It was a Thursday afternoon when she showed up. Ashley, like some kind of ghost you hoped you'd never see again. Ryan was finishing up a session when the receptionist buzzed his office. "There's a woman here asking for you. Says it's personal." Ryan stepped into the waiting room and froze. She looked different, thinner, worn down, like life had chewed her up and spit her out. The once glamorous Ashley now wore faded jeans, her hair tied up carelessly, and that sharp, calculating gleam in her eye was gone. What replaced it was something worse, desperation. "Ryan, please. I just want 5 minutes," she said, her voice trembling, though still trying to sound composed. He didn't say a word, just stared at her for a moment, then motioned her to follow. They sat in his office, the same one where she'd once clung to him like a lifeline, back when he'd saved her from herself. She started her monologue, about regret, about how Damien abandoned her, how the media ruined her, how she had nowhere to go. And then the real reason came out. She wanted money. "Not much," she said. "Just something to get back on her feet. Maybe a place to stay. Maybe a fresh start." With him. Ryan listened. No expression, no interruption. Just cold, focused silence. When she was done, she looked at him like a beaten dog, half hopeful, half humiliated. "You already got your fresh start, Ashley. Remember? The night I almost ran over you on Mulholland. That was your reset. And look what you did with it." She blinked, stunned. "There won't be another one," he added. "Not from me. You can go now." She sat frozen for a second, then stood up slowly. No tears. Just that look of someone who finally realized the door wasn't just closed. It was locked, bolted, and bricked over. She walked out quietly. And this time, Ryan didn't look back. People like to believe that after the storm, you find peace. But that's a fairy tale. The truth? You don't walk away from betrayal clean. You walk away scarred. And some scars don't fade. I've seen it in Ryan's eyes. He's not the same man I met 20 years ago. He's sharper now, harder around the edges. Less trusting, and a hell of a lot more dangerous. He didn't become bitter. He became aware. He rebuilt his life, yes. The clinic's thriving. He's speaking at conferences, writing a book, helping people. But the man who once believed in redemption, for everyone, is gone. Ryan learned that some people don't want to be saved. They want to take. They want to bleed you dry while smiling to your face. I tell this story because most men don't talk about this stuff. We get betrayed, and we swallow it. Numb it with work, whiskey, or worse. But Ryan? He made it loud. He turned the pain into precision. Made it count. And here's the part one want you to remember. If a man gives everything, his time, his trust, his heart, and gets betrayal in return, don't expect him to turn the other cheek. Ryan didn't just get even. He became the consequence. And some people out there, they still don't know they've got a man like that watching.